Are you ready for the best Kansas City Chiefs insight? Welcome to ChiefsBlitz.com YouTube podcast with your host, Nick Athan, Andre Tillman, and producer Hense Todd. They'll break down the three-time Super Bowl champions as only they can do. And here's your host, Nick Athan.
Welcome back to another edition of Chiefs Blitz. I'm your host, Nick Athan, along with Andre Tillman and Hense Todd. And we are here because Chris Jones is back. Oh, my God. The news is done. And I think if those who listened to the end of the show on last show, I think during the closing credits, I said, something's going to happen Monday with Chris Jones. I take full credit.
Hey,
I'm glad it's not my money, but I definitely take credit.
Chris Jones indeed is back, guys. I mean, from the Kingdom standpoint, I know they're excited. You know, from a competitive standpoint, I know they're excited because now we got some meat and potatoes in the middle of that line now. You know, so
he said meat and potatoes. Hey,
meat and potatoes,
potatoes, collard greens, whatever you want to call it,
except for pinto beans.
Hey, I'm sorry for all.
Pinto beans rock, man. Come on, don't get.
Okay, you're right, Nick. Okay,
don't give him a bad name. Don't give him a bad name.
You're right. But I'm sorry for all opposing quarterbacks that you got to fear this man that's trying to chase the money. He's trying to chase the money. So now you like a person that's gonna be climbing the tree and you run across a hornet's nest. And that's what's going to happen when the Chris Jones step back on the field. He said, "Hey, y'all want me to prove it?" Oh boy, I feel sorry for all the opposing quarterbacks. But and speaking of Chris Jones, man, he's going to be a big upcoming for the Kansas City Chiefs, man. It's going to be amazing watching the sacks on the field, what he's bringing to the team. I'm also bringing to what everybody else is, a fear of having Chris Jones on the field. Bringing that talented back to the D end, especially you got, the D ends play good. I think they played good last game. And plus Chris Jones coming up that middle. What you got to say about that, Nick?
Well, listen, I mean, I never thought he was going to hold out the whole season. I didn't really think he'd get the 8 games. And I think this all started Thursday night with a lot of criticism he got. And as Chris pointed out today, I want to quote him. I did take some of his stuff you all said on Twitter personally, and I keep receipts. Now, I think that was to some Chiefs fans. I think that was to some other players and different organizations, to other fans. But at the end of the day, I think he looked at the Katz brothers beside him and said, "What are we doing here?" And the fact that he stayed in town all weekend, had some heart-to-hearts. I think now that he's in the building, gets away from the influence of his agents. I hope he replaces his agents at some point. I think that would be a really healing thing for all sides. They did get a 1-year deal. He basically made $880,000 plus his fines back as a way to get the deal done. So his holdout was 5 weeks? Well, technically, we look at training camp, 5 weeks, $880,000 net. Was it worth it? He even said in his press conference today, probably would do some stuff different. So learning experience from all, but if he comes in healthy, he comes in the right mindset, he can gel in that room, Joe Cullen can get him back online, then I think you're absolutely looking at a situation where
Are you ready for the best Kansas City Chiefs insight? Welcome to ChiefsBlitz.com YouTube.
Maybe not this week. He plays a lot, but get into the Chicago game, and then the Jets game, what now looks relatively an easy game thanks to the injury to Aaron Rodgers we'll get into in a little bit later. But listen, he's going to wreak havoc. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He wants to get paid. big time next year. So he's got 16 more games in the postseason to prove that he's worthy of a big check from Kansas City.
I definitely agree with everything you're saying, but let's get into the meat.
Here you go. Here you go.
If Chris Jones did not sign or whatever, it was going to be a long year for Kansas City on the defense because they wasn't stopping nobody. They wasn't getting no pressure on anybody without Chris Jones. So now they put the emotion to the side. He's back on the field. Now let's talk defense. Let's talk D-line now. Now the defense line is going to eat. It's very important for him to come back because they face Jacksonville, a very potent offense right now. So I can see with Chris Jones coming back, and I can see them just being just as dominant as it was last year, probably even better.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, they got a better defense. Listen, they went up against the Detroit Lions, who some people say top 5 offense. I'm going to go top 10 without Chris Jones, and held them to basically 14 points. I mean, Kadarius Toney gave the other one away. So I think that I was impressed with the defense. I was impressed with the secondary. I thought the pressure was good.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're going to add Jones into the mix. I think I came away thinking, well, if they can do that to the Lions, who have arguably some of the better wide receivers as far as what they could do combined in a system, in a rhythm, in a run. And Montgomery's one of my favorite running backs in the NFL period because he's a bruiser. You know, he's not Christian Okoye type, but man, he can hurt some people.
He fit that mold, the complete running back mold, right?
And when they get Williams back from suspension in another 5 games, the kid from Alabama, who I know the Chiefs were very high on at the draft a year ago, that offense is going to be dynamite. They'll probably be top 6, top 5. And for the Chiefs to do what they did was impressive to me. Now you add Jones, you add a little attitude back. And I think, listen, if the Chiefs are in the top 8, 9, or 10 range between now and the end of the year, they're not going to lose too many football games unless they shoot themselves in the foot like they did the other night against Detroit. Because I think this defense is the best defense potentially that they've had in the Mahomes era.
I believe what you just said, Nick. I want to piggyback off what you just said. The addition of Chris Jones is going to make the Chiefs a whole lot better because now the secondary doesn't have to, like, Spags ain't got to blitz as much no more. Mm-hmm. Now he can honestly sit back and play a lot of good, tough press zone. They can play a lot of man-to-man too with the addition of Chris Jones because now these guys can actually play. Now they can actually cover. I'm sorry. They can actually cover now. So I feel like that's a great addition to bring Chris Jones back. Again, you know, like he was needed. Chris Jones had 15 sacks last year, right? And if you watch that game, where was the sacks coming from? Like the Chiefs wasn't going to get better as far as like getting to the quarterback, as far as like getting sacks. They wasn't going to be any better than what you've seen against Detroit. Mm-hmm. But since the addition of Chris Jones coming back, y'all going to see a top 10 defense this year. A top 10 defense because that's all that was missing was Chris Jones. And I believe they're going to do big things on defense this year because now you don't have to blitz as much. And we know when you blitz against the elite quarterbacks, you're going to get killed. Yep. So now they can sit back, pin their ears back, and have some fun.
Yep. And that's what they need to do. I mean, they have to be aggressive. Right. They're facing a really good quarterback. You know, in Trevor Lawrence this week, they beat him twice last year. Second time was a little tougher than the first, but even in the first matchup, you know, Trevor outplayed Patrick in the second half. So, you know, again, I don't know how long it's going to take him to get up to speed. I'm thinking 2-3 games, maybe, you know, provided there's no injuries. But listen, I'm not anticipating he's going to go out there and have a 3-sack performance. But if he gets a sack this week and plays in limited passing situations, I'm good with it.
I believe so. I really do believe that, Nick. I believe it's not going to take Chris Jones that much time to get back to Chris Jones. Yep. Because of the rotation Specs got right now. Mm-hmm. And again, the only thing Chris Jones has to do is just rush your quarterback. Just pin your ears and rush your quarterback. As long as you get yourself, I give him to the second half of the next game against Jacksonville to the second half. Chris Jones be back.
Yeah. Well, let's hope so.
But the only thing though, Nick, the only thing is hamstrings. Is as far as like your conditioning. You know, you don't want to throw him in right away, let him go full 100%, but let him progressively get his feedback. And I say by the second half, you should see Chris Jones playing at the dominant level.
Yeah, let's hope so.
I believe, man. I believe Chris Jones is going to be, like I said before, I believe he's going to come out and dominate. I believe that the Chiefs are missing Chris Jones here. I believe they missed him. I don't agree with him sitting in the stands. I didn't agree with that. Now, if he was outside amongst the fans and the tailgate parties and stuff like that he was seen on camera like that, it was a big moment for the Chiefs on Thursday night to take all their attention off Armor Hunt and what the Chiefs had going on, then put all their attention on you. I don't think that was a good look for him, and also not a good look for his agents. Now, having Chris Jones as a player, of course, any defense in the NFL would love to have Chris Jones coming up the middle. Now the Chiefs have that this coming up a season. Now going forward after that, we don't know. We don't know because it's a 1-year deal. We don't know if it's going to be a long-term answer. What the Chiefs are going to do. Now they can tag and trade him next year. You know what I mean? To a team like Arizona have 2 first-round picks.
I'll take their first and second round pick. I'm in. I'm done.
I'm
Make
just
the trade
like,
today.
They be the
hold on, Nick. Hold on now, Nick.
I'm just saying, sir. You know what I mean? But again, Chris Jones is going to be here. I'm glad to see that. That gives the Chiefs a better winning percentage, better chance to be winning on Sundays. Now, on them third and longs, could the Chiefs use Chris Jones? Heck yeah. Because ain't no way that they should have completed a third and long over and over in that game because the defense had them in third and long and penalties. Imagine Chris Jones is on that field. They won't be running that ball like that. Just, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'll put it like this. He's going to be a big pickup that we're going to need. And also I'm glad to see him back. But I just wish he didn't pull that stunt that he did sitting in the stands on a very important night for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, if he did that amongst the fans and everybody else at the tailgate parties, he's seen out there hugging up on the fans. Now, that would have been a good look, you know what I mean, for me. And then he's out there among it like, hey, I'm going to be here. I'm not about to be the distraction while my guys is out there fighting lions, actually fighting lions in the den of Arrowhead while I'm sitting back watching, eating popcorn and eating Skittles and holding the Seahawks hat. I don't agree with that.
Listen, guys, okay. I get all the strategic. We all buttering Chris Jones biscuit right now. Let's get to the meat. I did butter the Chris biscuit. Jones is back, and let's hope like heck he can come out here and play some ball. All right, come out here. We shouldn't see Trevor Lawrence going downfield, making incredible plays with his legs. All right, now the pressure's here. Chris Jones is back, and I hope Chris Jones come out there and play some ball because again, he comes out here and the Chiefs look like they was before in week 1. Whole different conversation again. But I'm glad that Chris Jones is back. I just need him to bring the energy, bring the respect from his teammates, and we'll take it from there. But at the end of the day,
Dre, what I ask you is this: both of y'all, what do y'all agree on the contract that he signed? Because
it's an interesting contract, very interesting. So basically, he getting his money back. He trying to get his money back, right?
He got his $3.5 million fines,
right?
Plus he netted in another $880,000 with incentives that, the big incentive is winning defensive player of the year and a Super Bowl. It's not one or the other.
Right.
So again, anything, if he doesn't hit, if something happens, he gets injured, then Chiefs get all that bonus money back. So then they're basically out 18, the cap was 19.5 million. He lost $1 million plus the fines. So again, he nets about $880,000 when it's all said and done, which is great for him. And I think the reason he did this, and I this is what my gut tells me, is he told the Katz brothers, let's get this thing done. We're going to get a 1-year deal. I need to get back to Kansas City with my boys. He took to heart what the media was saying. He took to heart what the fans were saying. I think some fans turned on him, and I think that was hurtful and also motivating for Chris. Hopefully in a positive way, that at the end of the day, you look at it and say, okay, I need to get back. And so this was not a great deal for the Katz brothers. It was a white flag signal, like, this is all they're going to get. The Chiefs made him a really good offer that I think any other agent probably would have been able to get done of reasonable competence. But these guys, the fact they didn't include a no tag clause for next year, which means we're going through this all again next year. If he A, doesn't hire new agents, and B, the Chiefs are going to likely tag him, and they'll have the cap space to do it.
The thing is, with this contract, with these guys, like, these players have to pay attention to who they're hiring. Really pay attention and learn the background, the history of these guys, right? For real, because this doesn't make sense. This make Chris Jones look bad. It does, but I'm gonna say this. I get that, but what Chris Jones have to do right now? It's a lot of pressure on him. Like, if he doesn't get that done, then what?
Well, he brought it on himself.
Right.
He put this on his shoulders, all of it. The
So
success
what
of
do
the
you
defense, the failures, everything. It's like,
Right.
okay, it's on me now, guys. This is the way it is. So we'll see. I mean, he may or may not play. He's probably going to play, but I bet they'll limit his snaps to maybe 20 to 25 tops.
Okay, and speaking of Chris Jones, getting a contract. What do you guys think about Joe Tooney, restructuring his contract ban and giving the guys more of a wiggle room out there?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Nick.
I mean, they definitely saved money. I mean, they created about $8.5 million, whatever it was, but they're still about $2.5 million short, which means they're going to have to either extend somebody else. Maybe they give Travis Kelce a new deal. That kind of makes sense because a lot of tight ends are getting a lot more money than he is. I think Travis is going to play this year plus 2 more, and then I think he's going to run off with Taylor Swift, and it's all said and done. But I'm just kidding. I don't even know if that rumor is true or not, but I thought it was pretty entertaining that a lot of people took it as serious. So we'll see. Until Travis says it on his podcast with his brother, I'm not going to believe it. But, I think that's one move they can make. I mean, they'd like to bring Carlos Dunlap back. We've talked about this multiple times over the last 4 weeks, but they just don't have the cap space. So if they redo Travis, and at some point now that the Burrow deal is done and the Herbert deal is done and all the big and Jalen Hurts contract is done, Patrick Mahomes is getting a new contract from Kansas City. So that'll create some room. So there are ways in which they can go, and they're sitting pretty good in the cap area in 24, 25, and 26. And plus keep in mind, by Thuney moving some money around, they'll take a hit next year and the year after, a little bit, but it's not going to be too bad that they can't make it work and make it fit. But they've got a Nick Bolton they got to sign. They got to sign Creed Humphrey. They got to sign Trey Smith. I don't know if they're going to be money for a Janarius Sneed, or Willie Gay. It just depends. But, Brett always looks down the road. And I think that's why the contract with Chris was so difficult. And he just couldn't budge at the number. I think they went up to $27.5 million, and they couldn't make the cap work in a way they needed to make sure that, they take care of this class. I mean, they got Tommy Townsend, who's represented by Drew Rosenhaus. They're going to have to sign him. He's turned into one of the best punters in the National Football League. He's pretty good throwing the ball too. So I like what Joe did. It shows his commitment. That means probably that he'll stay another year or so than I think the Chiefs had planned on the offensive line. But his skill set's gone down a little bit, but not to the point where you wouldn't want him out there or don't consider him one of the top 5 or 6 guards in the NFL. So it had to be done. There's got to be another financial move coming up just to fit Chris under the cap to play Sunday. And again, my suspicion is they may do a new deal with Travis.
It's crazy how this works. It's crazy.
Funny money.
Again, just dealing with Jones, it just left a bad taste in the kingdom's mouth. No pun intended.
No.
So I'm sitting here like I'm happy for Chris Jones, but then again, I'm not happy. From what I've seen, the first game against Detroit, I was impressed with the defensive line. I was impressed with the defense in general. No disrespect, but I really didn't care if he got signed or not. I really didn't care because all I seen from what I've seen from Week 1, I was very impressed. And the Chiefs should have won that game if KT catches the ball.
So you saying Joe Tooney should have restructured his contract for Chris Jones?
Well, why wouldn't he? I mean, why wouldn't he agree to do it?
Right. It's like, why wouldn't he?
That's the whole point. I mean, he makes the whole point.
That's why I'm asking Dre, like, where are you going with it? Where you going with it?
I'm going with this because I'm gonna be real honest with y'all. I wouldn't have did it because of the fact that you disrespected your teammates. The fact that you was up there and you show no love for the organization. I wouldn't have did it. But from winning perspective, I understand.
But the reason he did it was to show, hey, Chris, this is how you do it.
Right.
On that part,
I'm restructuring my deal to get you to fit, so we can get some numbers put in here, so you can be on the team this Sunday. Pure and simple. That's what a teammate does. And again, I want to make this clear, and I think I've said this multiple times. I'm not upset that Chris Jones went for the golden egg. But when it was clear he wasn't going to, this is my only issue. When it was clear that golden egg was never coming, this could have ended 2-3 weeks ago. Because the Chiefs' stance never changed. Their top offer was 27.5. Even after the Bosa deal, it was not changing. And that's the fault of the Katz brothers. And I think that's why Chris ended this. So listen, I hope he plays well. I hope he meant when he said today that he wants to play in a Chiefs uniform for the bulk of his career. I've been told by multiple people that that's always been his desire. I don't think he's going to play in another uniform next year. I think they'll get something worked out at some point with new agent in hand. It'd be my guess.
I definitely agree with you. I definitely agree. Real quick, and from where I stand on respect. I stand on loyalty. And I do. And I see when you have agents out here that tell you what you should do, I get that too. But at the same time, it's just a bad taste for the kingdom. Like the fans didn't respect it. They didn't care.
They cared. They didn't like the process, and they made the Katz brothers the villains. Now, they may not be the villains at the end of the day. Who knows? But I don't think they serve their client well. And if there's going to be a fallout from this, it's probably going to be them. That would satisfy the Chiefs kingdom. But again, Chris is a loyal guy, so we'll see. But if Chris intervened and said enough's enough, then my guess is this deal was strictly put together by Brett Veach, and Chris got his fines back and a little bit extra. So I think everybody's happy. It was a win for the Chiefs. It was a win for Chris Jones to one degree, and not a win for his agents. So we'll see.
It wasn't, Nick, but at the same time, Nick, for real, honestly, Chris Jones got a lot to do this year to get the Chief, to get the kingdom and the players' respect. So it's real big for him. It's a real big year for Chris Jones.
And speaking of getting players' respect, what y'all think about nobody giving Patrick Mahomes respect, but they also giving all these Josh Allens, Joe Burrows, and everybody else respect, and they out here just laying goose eggs. Josh Allen, throw out on interceptions, fumble, and Joe Burrow put up 82 yards passing. What y'all, before we get to Joe Burrow, what do y'all think about Josh Allen? In the field,
real quick, Nick and Bo, let's call it what it is. Josh Allen does not deserve what he gets. They're going off high potential. They're going off potential. They're going off what he can be, what he could be. This is what he ain't. This is what he ain't. He's not this. He's not that. Right. They keep pushing the narrative so big to where it's like you kicking it down our throats. Right? He's not that. Leave that alone. He is not that. He's an average quarterback. He's a guy that he's what you call very inconsistent, right? Very inconsistent. Very inconsistent. If inconsistent was a name in football, it would be Allen.
You look at the dictionary, there his face.
Yeah. I mean,
because look at the big game for real. Let's really break it down. Look at the Bengals game. Joe Burrow, they thrashed him. Right? He had one big game against Kansas City in overtime. That was it. And people rode his coattails. Right? Look at him. He can't replay. He's overthrowing guys. He's forcing passes. No, he's not that. No. He's not even a top 10 quarterback. He's not. He can't read defenses. Like look at the throws.
Well, the problem with him is, Ken Dorsey was his quarterback's coach before Brian Dable went to the Giants.
Right.
They struggled last year. And I watched the Bills preseason games, and man, the guy was out there like it's a regular season game, running, taking chances, throwing interceptions in the preseason, and he thinks he's got to do it all. And he put together a good drive at the end of the game. He and Diggs finally got on the same page. But man, oh man, I'm telling you right now, I don't know. I don't want to be any part of that locker room right now. They got to play, I think, the Raiders. And the Raiders have a good defense.
Yes, they do.
And, Jimmy Garoppolo, he just goes out and wins football games in the regular season. And I would not, of the three teams, Chiefs, Bengals, and Bills, I think the Bills have the best chance to be 0-2 than the other two.
You know what? I'm going to piggyback off this is what I don't like about some of these people. They disown Garoppolo. He is a good quarterback. He wins games, Nick. He wins games. And he brings stability to their Raiders team. He brings stability to that team. It wouldn't shock me if they go out and have a great year. I'm not gonna say a great year, but a good year, because they're going to be above 500 this year. Mark my words, they're going to be above 500, right?
It's possible.
If you look at Joe Burrow, right? Joe Burrow, I don't care what nobody said. Joe Burrow to me is right behind Patrick Mahomes. He's right behind him. I don't care. Like he proved that.
Stop it.
That defensive line for the Browns was crazy.
Before you go into any further,
excuse me, sir. I'm talking bow tie. I'm talking bow tie.
How did he prove that?
I'm talking bow tie.
No, sit back, Nick. Just about to get ugly on this.
Nick, go ahead, Nick. I'm about to run this.
I'm taking a timeout. Go ahead.
Take a break. Come on, sir. We do this all the time, bro. I give Mahomes his credit.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a tad bit better than Joe. A tad bit. He's not as efficient as Joe Burrow is, right? But he's a tad bit better. But Joe's better anyway. Besides the ring, Joe's better. I'm gonna say this: that Browns defensive line wrecked. They wrecked. They caused so many problems for Joe Burrow because he couldn't get the ball. He didn't have time to throw the ball. And y'all boy Orlando Brown was getting beat. He kept getting beat.
Not my boy. I'm going back on record. Not my boy.
I'm just saying now. I'm just saying. But it was Myles Garrett. It was a Myles Garrett show. There's nothing. You can't do nothing with that. And like he didn't have time to adjust. He didn't have time to do anything. That's Myles Garrett.
Well, Joe Burrow is. I agree with you. He's the second best quarterback in the AFC. No question. However, Orlando Brown Jr. was his left tackle. The majority of those blitzes, I mean, the Browns didn't even blitz. It was a four-man front.
They didn't.
So they had everybody else in zone coverage and man outside. So they took away the middle of the field. He didn't have time to throw the ball. He's clearly not 100% healthy. And I think, to me, Burrows has had a really nice run. But the Bengals are not as good a football team defensively as they were a year ago.
Right.
And offensively, this is what I thought would happen. Burrow gets his coin. T. Higgins didn't get a contract. He's next up. They may not pay him. They may let him walk. And if they do, the Chiefs will bring the Brinks truck to get him in Kansas City. Mark my words. I'm saying
T. Higgins and Ross.
I'm saying September 13th. 2023. If T. Higgins is a free agent, Clark Hunt will send the private jet. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, hopefully Chris Jones, and a whole slew of people are going to put him on the plane with his agent. They're going to iron out a contract, and he'll be a Chief. And then we haven't even talked about, Jamar Chase yet. He wants to get paid too. And I've said this: the Browns organization and the family have never been willing to spend the kind of money that it's going to take to build a consistent winner. They took care of their quarterback. They paid him a boatload of money. They announced it the night of the opening night, Chiefs and Lions, which I thought was pretty interesting, right around the first quarter. So that organization has got a lot of cap problems next year. And I don't see ownership paying that kind of money. And if they pay both those receivers top dollars, which right now is about $15 million per, that's $30 million a year they're going to commit to those guys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's enough to satisfy him. And I think if the Bengals start out 1-4, 1-5, 2-6, something like that, then I think they're going to have to look at maybe making some other changes. But Burrow, to keep that number 2 status, has to prove last week was a fluke and it was just the pressure. But his offensive line isn't getting any better, and they're worse than they were last year.
Very much so.
And that's going to be a huge problem. And Joe Mixon's a good running back, but he's not an elite back. They're going to miss. I think it was Perrine that ended up going and signing with the Broncos.
Yeah,
that was a huge loss.
That was a big loss.
So I don't think the Bengals are as good, and that division's tough. The Ravens are good. The Browns are going to be consistently good. They may not be great, but they're always going to be in the game with the defense. And the Steelers, big disappointment the way they got manhandled by San Francisco. So
that was murder. Yeah,
Burrow's got a much tougher path to get to the championship game, I think, than the other quarterbacks.
Then overrated Patrick Mahomes. I'm just playing Kingdom. Listen.
Wait, you're overrating Patrick Mahomes?
No way, Nick.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't do that.
No. Make sure we're clear.
Patrick Mahomes has the best offensive coordinator, the best coach, and the best wide receivers. Why would I say he's overrated? He got the best offensive line in the league with the best weapons on the outside. That's not overrated. Okay. He just have a circle of great talent. Compared to Joe, that doesn't have a lot of that. And Joe still made the dance. He still made the dance without all that. But anyway, like right now, I feel like this right now. I feel like
I don't know what he's talking about, guys.
It's week 1. It's still week 1, guys. It's still week 1. It's still week 1. Yeah, it's only week 1, guys. Not really diving into the quarterback situations, guys. It's still week 1.
If Patrick Mahomes put up 82 yards, everybody will be on his case. Every show you turn on every morning, you will hear Patrick Mahomes is washed. Patrick Mahomes ain't nothing without Travis Kelce. Patrick Mahomes has a new offense. His receivers are trash. He only put up 82 yards. He ain't throw no touchdowns. He put up 82 yards. And if Josh Allen, when Patrick Mahomes did what Josh Allen did, he will get drugged through the mud.
Yeah,
Patrick Mahomes slinging that turnover machine and all this. You hear all that, but it seems like when it comes to Patrick Mahomes, you know what I mean? They just when everybody else is it's just maybe it was raining that day. He had to put on the glove. He had to do this. He had to do that. Nah. He had all these receivers out there. He had better passing receivers than Patrick Mahomes currently showed on Thursday, but he had all these top-notch receivers. He only put up 82 yards.
Yep.
Now, is it the weather? No, it wasn't the weather because everybody they been raised to play football in the weather, since they playing football. So it ain't the weather. Is it the glove? Oh, Michael Jackson wore the glove. He's still doing the moonwalk. So I don't want to hear nothing about none of that. So
stop it, Bowtie.
Josh Allen out here throwing all these interceptions. He's throwing all these interceptions. He just put it up for grass to the same person over and over again. So he should have been playing wide receiver for the Bills. But the thing is like this. We got to know that Patrick Mahomes, like Nick Wright said, it's just a mountain. It's just Patrick Mahomes up there, and everybody else is trying to climb.
Yeah.
Well, let me go ahead and stop you right there because all this so-called Patrick Mahomes hate, he's not getting hated on. He's a winner. Tom Brady got hated on. They're winners. So you've been winners. Yes, they want to go against you, and yes, they're gonna paint the narrative of you're not the best quarterback, which you are the best quarterback. I get that. They're trying to push the narrative. I get that. Mahomes gonna be okay. They're just using that as motivation for Mahomes to win another ring. Which in my case, he's not gonna win it because Smoking Joe gonna take it. Now I speak from a place. All right, I'm speaking from a different place, guys. But honestly, for real, I think Mahomes gonna do a great job. It just Kadarius Toney and everybody else just catch the ball when the ball's thrown to you, make plays, and they'll be just fine. Because the Chiefs didn't miss a beat for real in the Lions game. They just drop passes. That's it. So Chiefs gonna be okay. And Mahomes, they might be a dynasty this year, Nick. They might be a dynasty this year. If they win the third one, I'm talking about, and we ain't talking about back in the 40s and 50s. We're talking about if they win the third one this year, they're a dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. No, I agree. We'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out. Week 1 means very little at the end of the day. We'll see what happens going into week 2. Big game against Jacksonville. And obviously we'll preview that on Friday and take a look at that point. We'll know, if Kelsey's going to play and if Jones is going to play and kind of get a better feel for it. But, Doug Peterson's going to have his boys ready. Trevor Lawrence fired up. Mm-hmm. They got some weapons. They got some weapons. You got to
save it, Nick, for Friday. You got to save it now. We can't dive into it right now, Nick.
I'll save it.
All right, bet. All right, can't dive right into it now. But I am excited for that game, though. I am excited.
It'll be fun.
With that said, guys, we'll see you on Friday at 12 p.m. We still working out our show times, but that's the time we're going to try to come to bring all the Chiefs news, all the breaking news. You'll see it pop up on your news feeds at chiefsblitz.com. And hey, Dre's just a Chiefs hater, so just understand that.
Technically, I am a fan. Technically, guys, I am a fan.
I know about this show, Burrow.
I just called the way I see it.
But again, guys, want to thank everybody for watching. Want to thank everybody for tuning in. Any last words before we see you guys?
Hey, have a fun couple of days. Check out chiefsblitz.com for any breaking news. Again, everybody, thank you for tuning into the show. We're changing formats a little bit. We're doing our best to overcome the deficiencies of the host. And Hense, you put up with a lot from me. And Andre, you just keep slinging it, brother.
I appreciate it, guys. Again, you know who the best quarterback in the league is right now. You can catch me again on the Coach Dre Show, Bowtie Sports, the Blitz. But remember, your boy Coach Dre. I'm not a hater, guys. I come off for Kansas City.
All right, we'll see. We'll take you at your word. All right, guys. Thanks everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Chiefs Blitz YouTube show, and check us out at chiefsblitz.com. We'll see you on Friday at 12 o'clock.